Good afternoon, De La Salle University Senior High School. I'm Angel Prieto.
My name is Dayan Prada, and we are your Masters of Ceramics for this year's 2020 Clean Slate Protocol.
Before we formally begin this event, let us call on Gian Balo from the General Affairs Department for our opening prayer to be followed by Juliana Ferrer, the co-chairperson for General Affairs Department for the opening remarks.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God. All together we say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, as we gather here today for this term's Clean Slate Protocol, we thank you for the continuous love and support you bless upon us. In the midst of this crisis, you keep our head up and push us to be strong enough to tackle more of life's challenges that come our way. Forgive us for our sins, and bring us to the path you call for us to take. We ask that this program may be successful for all the organizers and for all the applicants, and grant us guidance during this entire election season. Protect the health workers, frontliners, and other essential workers who continue to do their jobs even with the struggle they face. Guide our leaders in the government and give them the wisdom to make the right decisions to improve the state of our country. Lord, may safety be granted on all of us, and give us the strength and patience for the incoming brighter future. Our Lasallian prayer, I will continue, O my God, to do all my actions for the love of you. Saint John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
To the ID 119 and 120 students, our current and future student leaders, student council applicants, and student voters, to the panelists we have earnestly invited to partake in our program proper, and to the rest of the attendees, a pleasant afternoon. We warmly welcome you for attending the second Clean Slate Protocol of the DLSU Manila SHS Commission on the Student Elections. Today, we commissioners shall serve you by implementing the proper screening procedures for the 6 applicants vying for the open position of Vice President in the Student Council. To those 6 student applicants, remember that your steadfast will and passion to serve have brought you here. Each one of you have the potential not only to be part of the official list of the candidates, but to be an executive member of the Student Council at the end of this electoral season. You only have to communicate why you deserve to be so and demonstrate that very passion to the panelists and to the student body. To our student body, we advise you to participate in the stage of the candidacy process so that you get to familiarize yourselves with your future leaders. Kindly listen to the answers of the student council applicants as they respond to the questions that the panelists will direct to them. Although the panelists would ultimately decide the official candidates for the vice president position based on a set of criteria, be aware that you have the power to assess their leadership competencies as early as now. Throughout the Clean Slate Protocol, you would have more than an inkling to base your decision on the right leader to vote. 1 year ago, before I joined this electoral body, I was asked, why do you want to be part of COMSELEC? I answered, to serve the student body by aiding in the implementation of a transparent election. Now, we commissioners are here to uphold that transparency by starting at bridging the gap between you, student body, and your future leaders. Best of luck to our Vice President applicants, and once more, to all the ID 119 and 120 students, remember to be responsible and take the initiative to know about your leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. The Clean Slate Protocol is done if a position will exceed 5 applicants and will therefore undergo an objectively extensive screening in order to filter those who may advance to the campaigning and election proper. This compromise is held so that the whole student body will have a chance to run for the council, but avoid significant prolonging of the election period due to several constraints. And with 6 applicants vying for the vice president position, the Clean Slate Protocol must be done to narrow it down to 5. Due to the current situation, the interviewing and screening procedures will be done and broadcasted online in order for the student body to witness the transparency of character enforced by the organization.
The criteria for this event are as follows. Commitment to service, 25%. The candidate is sincere, dedicated, and passionate when it comes to contributing to the senior high school community. Consistently, the candidate showcases his or her utmost concern towards the student body and prioritizes what is deemed right for the welfare of the students. Innovation, 25%. The candidate has extensively prepared plans and platforms that are beneficial to the student body in ways that have not yet been seen before. The candidate shows the capability to think outside the box and is able to quickly reroute abrupt changes in program flows that they may or may not have created themselves. Personal management, 25%. The candidate showcases the willingness to not give up in his or her line of duty and is able to cope with the challenges they may encounter in his or her academic or extracurricular pursuits as he or she continues to serve the student body. He or she also shows the ability to engage and adapt to the sudden changes that disrupt the natural processes of any events he or she may be part of in planning. Leadership potential, 25%. The candidate is well aware of what leadership skills he or she needs in order to fulfill the duties of a student council member. He or she has had the background or visible capacity to lead the senior high school community and display confidence in public speaking and quick thinking. He or she also demonstrates the ability to execute events that the student body will benefit from, as well as handle sudden situations that disturb the natural processes of these planned activities or events.
Let us now welcome our panelists for this year's Clean Slate Protocol. Sir Russell Santos, our DLSU SHS COMSELEC moderator. Mr. Franz Beltran, the current Student Council President, and Ms. R. Andrea Briones, the current Student Council Secretary.
But before we introduce our candidates, let us first know the duties and responsibilities of the Vice President.
The Vice President acts as the associate of the President in both administration of the student body and its policies. Furthermore, he or she assists the President in presiding the meetings and assumes the duties of the President upon his or her absence or incapacity to perform the duties.
Without further ado, let us proceed to the moment you've all been waiting for. We present to you the candidates vying for the position of Vice President.
We have Alfonso Rafael T. Arteta,
Morian Lucille N. Bermal,
Zai Chalet J. Cabase,
Ken Rainier O. Kabashima,
Cheyenne Daniel C. Lim,
Eliakim Dan Jabez A. Pamorata. A warm round of applause, please.
Let us now call on our first candidate, Mr. Eliakim Dan Jabez A. Pamorada. Let us now welcome Eliakim, Dan, Jabin,
Good
and Lita.
the host, the panel comes. I am Eliakim Pamorada, and I am one of the candidates for vice president and aspiring to be your next vice president this academic year 2020 to 2021. Credentials wise, I have been experiencing many leadership opportunities the past few years. It started when I was at grade 7. I was elected as the class president, and with that, as the president of our batch government. It all started there, the passion to lead, service with determination, as I put it in my mind. With that, fast forward in 3 years, I became the president of my school, elected as the president of all public high schools of the Federation, about 25,000 to 30,000 students, giving them platforms, projects that is based on their interests, on their suggestions, on how they would like things to happen in the school year. With that, the next month, I was elected and still the incumbent little city mayor of Taguig, giving me the opportunity not just to lead in the school, but also to the community of Taguig City. And with these experiences, I would like to extend this passion, this eagerness to serve with determination and to lead my fellow Lasallians. With this, I present my 3 platforms that will be the center of my candidacy and if elected as vice president. This is abbreviated in 3 letters: E, L, and I. The first 3 letters of my name, Eliakim. E meaning empowerment, L meaning leadership, I meaning integration. With empowerment, it is my vision to not just empower myself in contributing with the society, with the community around me, with the school, but also to empower my fellow students. Because I believe leaders should empower their fellow citizens, their fellow people, their fellow youth, because this is the best way that you can execute your vision and your platforms for the betterment of you and of the community. I vision a project called Vox Populus, a Latin term for the people's voice. With this project, it is my aim to for the students to actively collaborate with the people, with the student council through Google Forms and other means, even though we are in the new normal. It is not a hindrance for us to collaborate with our fellow students just because we are online. With this, my vision is to strengthen the connection of the student council with the students better, that now we are in this kind of situation. Next is leadership. For leadership, I have this project called Inspire Velet, meaning in Latin meaning aspire to inspire. Because I believe as a leader, all of us has the potential to be leaders ourselves. Some, they might have identified it already, but some students have not yet. And with this, I am planning, if elected as vice president, to conduct leadership workshops through seminars, through posts, articles that the student council will provide the student body, so that those who are in position will not just be the ones to be empowered, but also those common students that has interest in different aspects such as politics, society, or even business, or whatever field in life they want to be a leader in. Next is integration. Just as I have said, online class is not a hindrance for me to extend and collaborate with the other clubs, organizations, and common students in this time of crisis. I believe collaboration is better. Collaboration helps us to work things, to make things better, and to improve the policies that we already have. I am planning that when one club or one organization or a student plans to have this certain event, the student council will extend its assistance so that we may be able to make these policies, these platforms better and according to the interests of the people. Once again, I am Eliakim Pamurada. And with this, I say a vice president should know how to adapt. And with the changes of interest through time, I am Eliakim Pamurada, and I will adapt to what the student body says and will represent you as you want. Thank you very much.
The panelists may now direct their questions to the candidate.
Hello, good afternoon. I guess I'll go first. Can I be heard? All right. So whenever we're developing platforms, right, it's really a matter of assessing what our community needs. So being an ID 120 student, being a new student in this school and to this community in general, and especially now that we're in a new normal, seeing that we're in an online classes setting, how are you able to assess the needs of your community, and how are you able to connect those with how your platforms were oriented?
I believe that we are now in the new normal setup of classes and connection with our classmates or with our schoolmates. We can use the social media as a platform because I believe that senior high school students, most of them has social media, and through this we can utilize them. For example, Messenger, or like what I've said, we can use Google Forms to extend the hand of the student council with the students, so that we may be able to hear what they want. If this project is feasible, what do you think? How do you think this could be made possible? And how do you like this to be made possible? There are many opportunities, even if we are bounded with hindrances in this time of crisis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. So
Good afternoon.
I'd like to ask about one of your platforms earlier regarding leadership. It's a nice initiative, no, to encourage everyone to be a leader. But as I heard, this is supposed to be a workshop, no? Or if not workshop, parang publicity materials, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So kung workshop, how do you
Yes.
plan on accommodating everyone? Like, is this targeted to the whole student body? Kung sino lang talaga yung makasali? How do you, so how do you accommodate everyone sa ganon? And in terms of publicity materials, do you think that the same essence would be captured from a workshop in a publicity material lang?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for your question. I believe that we can execute this platform through first scheduled seminars, because it is my vision to accommodate the whole student body, because that is the aim of the platform. We can make schedules. This can be only by one day, for a single day. We will invite speakers, prominent leaders that can help us, give us advices, or give us teachings of how can we mold the leader within us. And with the publicity material, I think it is just one of the various ways, because I'm thinking of various ways, such as having leadership talks, publicity materials in the essence of giving them an idea. How can you be an effective leader? Or it's a way of telling them through social media how can you mold the leader within yourself. It's like a connection with them by using social media. Thank you.
Hi, Eliakim.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Doing well as of now.
Okay,
Thank you,
as
sir.
of now. So, My question is, aside from wanting to serve the student body, what's your primary reason for running for office in the student council?
Um, Ever since I was a child, sir, I've been thinking of, extending this passion not just within the campus, because I believe as a leader, it is not just your obligation to serve your fellow students. It is not just bounded within the corners of the campus, but I believe that it is extended to the nation, to the society around us. Now that our country is facing some socio-political crisis, it is time for leaders to stand up, to mold themselves, and to continue the passion. Because in the future, I believe this nation will need leaders that are honest with their service for their fellow Filipinos.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. I'd like to ask, as a leader, what would you identify as your strengths and then your weaknesses, and how you overcome those weaknesses or manage?
Thank you, ma'am. For me, my strength would be number one, the connection. I think it is natural with me to easily connect with other people, even though they are strangers. I am really into connecting with fellow students. I'm asking them, how do you think things like this should be? And second is speaking. I really love to speak. If some of us has already watched Project Power, it is my word is my power. It's one of the songs. And then one of my weaknesses is when I get too overwhelmed with things, I tend to sometimes choke, or in other words, freeze for a while. But I tend to overcome this because I believe being a leader, you need trust with yourself, trust with your people, trust with your fellow students, and last but not the least, trust with God. With that, I tend to overcome these weaknesses, and I believe being open with improvements, I'm doing well with controlling that weakness. Thank you, po.
All right. I have one question, another one. So, as you said when you were speaking, and as reflected in your platforms, you really intend on bringing out the calls of the student body to the interaction and the empowerment and all of those, and opening up communications between the council and the student body. So, with this, there may be some times whenever what the interests of the student body may not necessarily be approved or be in line with what the admin has in line for us. So how are you going to reconcile those two? If ever that you have a platform or a plan, or there's something that you want to forward and the administration will not allow you to do that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that the importance of this platform is for the students to know that they are part of the student body. Yes, there might be some other interests or ideals that cannot be approved, because I have already experienced this before in my school. But it is the role of the student council to hear out what can be heard out, even though we think na impossible siya mangyari, because kahit papaano, it's still the voice of the people, it's still the voice of the students, and it is our role to represent them. And even though it can't be approved, or it can't be approved, it's okay, at least naapabot natin. But if it was approved, if it is approved, then wow, it is an honor for the student council to embody what the students want.
All right, thank you.
Kim, let me ask you. I asked you earlier how you are. Pero how are you naman ngayon with online setup and as a grade 11 student with this new setting in school? Like,
Thank
how
you,
do
sir.
you experience? Yeah.
For me, personally po muna, I am, of course, I think every one of us is struggling with the online setup, because it is new for every one of us. Sometimes I'm having a hard time coping up with it, but I believe through the days that will pass, we will be able to adjust. And with that part, as I've said earlier, a leader should know how to adapt. And with that adaptation, I believe I can serve the students. I believe I can serve the students effectively still. And with dealing with it, I think I'm doing fine. But still, how the other students are telling the government, I still find online setup as not feasible for the general people, because not all of us has the privilege to have access in a good internet, good gadgets, or anything that is required. But personally, for me, I'm doing fine naman. But with the interest of the general people, the general students, I kind of agree with them.
Now, follow-up question in relation to the online setup and the struggles that you said that you've encountered, just like the rest of the student body. Now, in the event that Hell Week comes, and here at DLSU, we know that Hell Week is something that really is considered as hell. So you have all the requirements, especially if you get to the point where you have your practice. Now, how do you plan on managing these things, especially that the stress is a lot more than
Thank you po for the question again. I think this is, I think I could answer it with time management is the key. Time management is the key. Having said my experiences earlier, having aforementioned my experiences before, I had 3 high positions in Taguig. And I also studied in science and technology high school. With that, I've learned how to manage my time properly, prioritizing priorities. And with this, I can assure the student body that I have the capability to balance everything, given my experiences and the passion to serve you with the best service with determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliakim.
Okay, we're sorry to interrupt, but the time is already up.
Thank you very much.
Panelists, for your questions, and thank you for your answers, Mr. Pamorada. Moving on, let us welcome our second applicant, Ms. Zaisha Cabase.
Good day, everyone. My name is Zishale J. Cabase, and I'm from STEM 11L. From day one of my school years, I went to a school wherein we give priority to Mother Earth. Even our line, Better People, Better Earth, lives to that commitment. Because of this, I became exposed to see the problems in the environment, and that is how I want to start my university years. As a matter of fact, when I became the youngest student council president of our school, that was the same priority I chose to fight for. In line with this, I believe that I have the experience, the capabilities, and I sure do have the heart for this position. For my first platform, Bridging Environmental Responsibility with Social Obligation, or BERSO. Ideas and projects regarding environment have long been done and debated in so many places, not only within the walls of every university, but it shows no halt conceiving in every individual's mind. Biogas from wastes, solar energy, wind energy, you name it. The possibilities are endless. In this modern time, people continue to look beyond the traditional dependency on what they have. From fully dependent on the gas-powered mobility, we now have a renewable source, electronic jeeps, solar-powered cars, etc. The possibilities continue to show that the threshold of human intelligence does not give an endpoint. Instead, a new idea after another. All these are no new-brainer, as everybody's awareness now on environment concerns are on the highest level. But have we thought of using these projects and awareness in our social responsibility? I hope the answer is yes. And if it is a no, then we have to start now. How do we do this? Simply, ideas, projects, and products of environment of recycled and sustainable energy of this university, we would prioritize the less fortunate as recipients of these. Basically, it is creation for social contribution, recycling for street dwellers. Not only can we help nature, but the highest order of beings who are in distress. We can choose to help. For my second platform, it is at the student level, creation of help and support group for mental health issues. As mental health issues continue to soar high, we have to address every detail so as not to lose any valuable life. We do this by counseling and providing help found on the university's guidance centers. This had been proven highly effective in early treatment of psychological disasters. However, we must not forget the basic principle of trust and confidence on peer relations. On confidence role, it requires a relationship bonded by friendship before the trust issue of sharing everything and anything. This requirement could not be found on our university's guidance centers. Friends trust friends. People with mental health issues tend to share burdens with their fellow friends very easily. This differentiates the relationship of professional help and basic line of a shoulder to cry on. That is it. Thank you very much for listening.
The floor is now open for the panelists to ask their questions to the candidate.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, so listening to your speech and your platforms, it seems that it's really oriented towards environment-related causes. Actually, in the slate of the Student Council, we have an environment concerns officer. So my question for you is, how do you plan on separating your platforms and your work from that position, seeing that the vice presidency is a different position from that one?
So an environmental concerns officer does think of projects related to environmental concerns. But as a vice president, one can choose to be oriented in helping everyone, including the environmental concerns officer. So you can work together to create certain projects related to the environment, and you can even um, choose to do other projects, such as my second platform related to mental health.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I'd like to ask about your second platform. So it's more of like friend to friend, no? So do you think that there are any risks that come with um that platform? No. So if it's not professional help, we could say the wrong things. What do you think would be the risks of um pushing through with this platform, and how else could you alleviate those type of risks?
So, for the risks, of course, a big concern would be saying the wrong things or wrong advice to your fellow friends. But because it is your friend and companion that you're talking to, you understand their problems on a whole other level. So, it's basically like being connected with them. So, they explain things to you that they cannot explain to faculties and teachers that are willing to listen. So, even with the risk of probably saying the wrong things, you can choose to listen further to what their problems are and base your advice and help with whatever you have heard or listened from them.
Okay, a little follow-up question about that. No? So, do you think you would need to be student council to encourage this type of friend to friend lang naman, di ba? So, like close friends, do you think you would need to be student council to encourage this type of environment, or do you think this would be possible as a student?
No, you don't need to be a student council to help your fellow peers, of course, but there are people out there who are really shy on asking their friends for help. And as a student council member, you can encourage others to help their fellow friends and to actually listen, because most people out there, even though they really want to help, they're really shy and scared of helping their friend.
Actually, I have a follow-up question with that. So, ayan, you've explained a while ago that you want to promote more of interpersonal connection between your constituency, right? So with that, can have you already thought of a concrete way we can launch a program like this? And if so, how do we gauge its effectivity and how do we see that it's actually being carried out at a personal level from the students?
So the most advanced level of a plan or platform that I've thought for this right now is the student council forming a group. Um, Actually, even thought of a name. It's called Convo Connections, and they can ask maybe hire students, grade level students who are willing to listen to the problems of other students and form a group, a secure group where any student can ask help from them, any student can ask advice from them, and through this I believe that it will engaging the efficiency of what's going to happen. Of course, when you help a person, you start to see the little changes they have in their everyday lives. They start to smile more, but in a more professional way of gauging efficiency, maybe we could have surveys and forms for them to answer.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Zisha. How are you?
I'm doing good po.
Okay. So, Zisha, allow me to ask you, what would get you up of bed in the morning to serve the student body? I mean, what is your primary motivator for just simply rising up, doing your thing?
So what can get me out of bed is connected to the word kindness. So as a person, we have our very own duties to help one another, to even just be kind in any way you can possible. And by thinking of this idea, I can think of how many people I can help out there just by being myself and being there for them, being someone they can look up to, being someone who can support them. Even as a fellow friend, a fellow classmate or schoolmate, I believe that kindness um, is one of the main things that gets me up to be gets me up every morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Panelists, do you have any more questions?
I have one more. You had a platform about mental health, and it's really important, especially with how you mentioned it. But how about your own mental health? How would you manage it, especially with our current setup right now? And of course, without using your platforms.
So as a student and someone who chooses to run for student council, I know that in the future it may become very draining and exhausting. Burnouts can happen. But I believe that by having a balanced schedule and having an organized way of for having everything that's going on and talking to my friends and family, um, I believe that I can do it. I can manage and I can balance everything, and I know that it will go well.
Thank you, Zisha.
Thank you.
All right, I have one question. As a leader, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
So, as a leader, my first strength would be wanting and being determined to get everything done. Um, I actually kind of a perfectionist. I when deadlines get passed, I choose to do them um, before having the submissions go over time, and I double check, I triple check every little bit of work that I have managed to get done, so I can make sure that no little small details get left out. And Another strength that I have as a leader would be being able to encourage my fellow council mates and my friends and peers to actually engage, to work better, to have for everyone to cooperate and to do work. And as a weakness, I would say that I can push myself too much or over the limit of working. So sometimes, even though I'm really exhausted, I still choose to keep going. And I guess that would be one of my weaknesses.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, um, we would like to thank our panelists and also Ms. Cabase for your wonderful responses. Now let us proceed with our third candidate, Mr. Alfonso Arteta. Once again, we would like to welcome Mr. Alfonso Arteta.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good day. I'm Alfonso Arteta from UMS 11A. I started my SC experience way back when I was in grade 5, when I was elected as part of the council member of the SC of our school. I continued the service up until last year, when I was elected as the president of the student council. This experience has it taught me to become a servant leader, which for me is the most important aspect of a true leader. It also molded me to become a leader not for my own identity, but a leader of service, of hope, and of love. A leader whose vision is not for myself, nor for my friends, but for the whole student body. This experiences as well led me to these major advocacies, which is first, mental health. Mental health is our generation's weakness. This is our enemy. Why? Because in our generation, we have this loss of our sense of identity. We don't know kung sino tayo. Hindi natin kilala kung ano ang meron tayo at kung ano ang foundation na meron tayo. That is why sometimes we tend to say that the only ally that we have is social media. But sometimes it leads us to negative situations. With that, I would like to propose these two projects related to the advocacy. First is a mental health awareness week, where everyone in that week will be a full of fun activities related to mental health. And this is also a stepping stone for us students to know the current situation of mental health in our generation and on how we as one can solve this problem. My next project would be a peer counseling, a group of students that can be counselor, a friend, where students with mental health problems and concerns can go to. These groups of students can also be under the supervision of the guidance office of the De La Salle University for proper guidance. My second advocacy would be freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is very important in our generation. But this freedom is being controlled by the government and sometimes by our environment. Thus, as one Lasallian community, I advocate that all students should be formed and trained to speak up for what is right, to speak up for what we know is right. As Dr. Jose Rizal said, ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. Kaya't kinakailangan nating tumayo at ipaglaban ang mga alam nating tama at makakabuti sa iba. For my last advocacy, it would be on environment. Guys, are you not aware that this is the only world that we have. We can just go to Mars kasi ayaw na natin sa world na to dahil polluted na to. No. We need to step up as youth. We need to stand up. We need to promote environmental awareness. We need to take our actions as a Lasallian community. We need to promote and have projects regarding environment even we're here in a pandemic. Thus, as I end, let me tell you my two beliefs in leadership. First, acta non verba. Leaders do, but they speak less. A true leader acts, not just speak. Next, a true leadership. Leadership is the capacity of a true leader to translate its vision into reality. Thus, as one Lasallian community, let's all make these advocacies one Lasallian better mission. Thank you.
Panelists, you may now raise your questions towards the candidate.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
So first, I'd like to ask about your platforms. So for the first one of the first ones you've explained, yung peer counselors, no? So you said that there would be a number of willing students na mag-undergo ng workshops and seminars and the like para maging qualified na magbigay ng mental health training. So with this, how do we situate this around a heavy academic workload that we're already experiencing now? How do you manage to juggle the two of them?
As I have experienced from my previous school, students who are joining this group are students who are willing to give their service. Now, as if ever this will be implemented, we can advertise this, and if students are willing and have free time, they can join this said organization or this said group under the guidance supervision.
All right, thank you.
So, okay, so as you've mentioned, may experience ka naman, no? Pero without citing your experience, your previous pagka-student council, how would you describe your level of commitment to the student body?
My level of commitment for the student body personally is ranging from 9 to 10. When I do things, I certainly do it with passion. I certainly do it with commitment. I do it with love. Therefore, even if I don't have experience from before, I will fully commit myself into this council if ever I can be part of it.
Right, so konting follow-up lang, 9 to 10, no? So what's stopping it from being 10, na perfect 10, your commitment?
For me, no one is perfect po. There are academic problems that can arise. There are family problems. There are a lot of problems surrounding us. Therefore, you cannot be a perfect leader, but you can try to be a perfect leader. Thank you.
Hi, Alfonso. How are you doing today?
Po. I'm good po. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Alfonso, in the event that there comes a point where you have to make a decision in the student council, and this decision means sacrificing your friendship with someone really close to you. So what happens is you'll have to choose between your duty as a student council officer and your friendship. How would you handle the situation?
Thank you for the question. I know that my friends will understand if ever I will be part of the student council. They will understand my priorities, and if ever that will be the case, I will choose and prioritize the student council because I know that it is for the betterment of everyone, not just of my friends, but of the whole student body.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you po.
I'd like to ask about your environment part of your advocacies. No, we also have an environmental concerns officer, Is there a particular reason why you chose to still focus on this, given that there's already a position very much dedicated to this advocacy?
Proposing platforms in student government does not only reflect you is in that certain position. Projects will reflect the whole student government. It will reflect the whole council. Therefore, if you have good platforms regarding an issue, you can share it on the whole council, and you can have a project helping with the helping hand of the environmental officer. Therefore, if I am given a chance to be part of this council and be the vice president, I will work hand in hand with the environmental officer so that this advocacy can be a real advocacy and it can be a real Lasallian mission for everyone.
Hi again, Alfonso. Now, I'd just like to ask something in relation to what Brio asked earlier. But she asked, why not 9 to 10? And you said that, of course, there are still areas which are beyond your control, right? So there comes family matters, personal concerns, and other stressors. Now, for you, what would those be? And what would you do with those?
For the problems that for the problem that will concern me in the leadership matter, I think it would be the academic workload of the senior high school, because as of now, everybody's experiencing a high academic workload. But from my previous experience in my previous school, I have this talent of time management, and I can manage doing school and academic stuff, and prioritizing both the school and academic stuff and the leadership aspect of my being.
Thank you again, Alfonso.
Thank you po.
Okay, one last question. Last question if the other panelists have no more questions. Earlier, you said na hindi lang naman dapat yung duties mo as vice president, right? Parang gusto mo rin ma-encompass yung iba. So ako kasi last year, I came from being a STEM representative. So for you, do you have any plans on how else you could elevate these platforms per strand, or how you could highlight each of these talents, mga ganon, mga potential of each strand?
First strand. As I have this thing in mind when I'm doing this platform, but I didn't place it there. But it's part of socialization. It can be face to face or online means. In our school before, we have this strand week or strand month where different strand showcase their talent to the whole community. And with that, they showcase their talent not only with the senior high school department, but for the whole Lasallian community. And in making that week, in making that strand week, they are also unifying themselves to have better relation to their strand mate or to their blockmates.
Okay, would that be all? Thank you, panelists, for your purposeful queries. And thank you as well, Mr. Arieta, for addressing these questions. Next, we present to you Ms. Marianne Bermal, our fourth applicant.
Good Good afternoon to our panelists and everyone else joining us today. I am Marian Lucille and Bermal of STEM 11G, here on your screens ready to present my platforms, as I am running for the position of DLSU Senior High School Student Council Vice President. I'm actually starting on a clean slate, as I only have minimal leadership experiences. I used to serve as a coach for our batches running, track and field, and marathon teams during intramural season, a position I held for 3 consecutive years. I am fully aware that running for the position of Student Council Vice President is quite a big step for me, for someone like me, who is starting from nothing. But here I am right now, and I'm going to show you my capabilities and to convince you that I am a worthy and qualified candidate through my platforms collectively named For Youth, For You. The first platform is Unahin. Unahin aims to provide an avenue to promote student welfare, which I believe to be a top priority considering that most of us are having a difficult time adjusting to the online learning setup. Since art is an outlet for students to express themselves and to cope with personal burdens, I propose a project that showcases the artworks of our fellow Lasallians. This project would take shape as a Facebook page, accredited by DLSU, welcome to all forms of art such as written pieces, performances, musical compositions, and fine arts. It creates a platform for aspiring artists to promote their works and potentially be discovered. They may link their personal information if they wish or submit anonymously if uncomfortable. Through regular uploads, this can create a large following, showcasing the creativity of DLSU senior high school students and can build a reputation in the arts. The second platform is Unawain. Unawain is a project that raises awareness for various social issues in our country, with the use of webinars conducted by speakers who are greatly associated with these issues. Though this project may not only be limited to matters concerning the student body, such as LGBTQIA+ awareness, Unawain aims to not educate everyone and promote nationalism. Topics ranging from the infamous war on drugs to lesser known matters that need attention shall be discussed and in an unbiased way to let the viewers formulate their own opinions, and we could also partner up with other NDMOs to raise their own advocacies to our fellow Lasallians. The third platform is Pag-ugnayin. The objective of Pag-ugnayin is to promote transparency between the student body and the student council. This will be accomplished by creating an online notice board through the use of the website card, but if not through that online website, it can be executed through email blasts or a messenger bot so that the students can automatically get notified. This shall be utilized for posting updates on both ongoing and future events planned by the student council. Last of all is Usapin. To ensure that the student committee maintains an excellent performance, evaluations will be conducted every term or after every event. Feedback from the student committee will allow the student council to accommodate any necessary adjustments efficiently and immediately. As student council vice president, I will make sure to be more hands-on and to give progress reports on how our student committee improved, and that will be reflected on the evaluations given by the students. With the 4 U's in mind, unti-unti nating unawain, pag-ugnayin, at usapin para panatalihing pwede pa ring tangkilikin ang senior high school kahit sa pamagitan ng isang screen kasi ang 4 na U ay para sa you. Thank you very much.
We are now giving the floor to our panelists to state their questions.
Hello, good afternoon. So I have one question about your first platform, yung student welfare. So as you said, it's going to be a Facebook page, no, where people can post their art, any form of art. So with this, do you have any plans of regulating this? Is there any plans of regulating the content if it becomes offensive or goes out with the school rules? And aside from that, how do you plan on making it more inclusive to encompass all strands? Kasi from my impression, it's more on leaning towards the arts-related strands pala.
Oh yes, pertaining to the arts po, kasi yes, when I first started this project, I thought, oh, this might be just related to the ATT students. But I feel like, and I believe that everyone has their own talents when it comes to the arts. And so this is open for all strands. And when it comes to the regulations, as you mentioned, there will be rules and regulations, of course, that should be followed, guidelines that every student should follow before posting their own art, so that we can regulate the content to make it to make it proper. That's all.
All right. Let me follow up lang. Is this a sustained effort that you plan on implementing throughout the entire year, or would you just allot a certain time for this Facebook page?
As it is a Facebook page, I plan it and envision it to be all year round, or as long as it can be up as much as possible. Because I don't think it should be just for a small amount of time, because everyone can just give out the art that they want to make.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, po.
Okay, so as you mentioned, fairly new ka rin to joining this type of organization like the student council. But of course, siguro something built your confidence, no? So in your
Yes.
past years, could you cite some experiences that helped you build this confidence to take this big step?
Well, kasi po, honestly, in my previous school, I feel like that if I ran for a position or took a leadership role, I felt that I wouldn't be taken seriously, kasi people, I think, see me as someone who is like the joker of the class or something. But in reality, I really do want to lead people, because I like seeing people see that because of my leadership, we got to something, and I'm happy for that. And this big confidence is because I know that DLSU Senior High School is a community and an environment that I can just be myself. It's an open community. And in my 2 years of senior high school, I told myself that I should grow and do the things that I wasn't able to do in my previous school. And for the experiences, the one where I was a coach for 3 years, it helped me learn how to become a team player, and also to lead that, oh, you should do this and you should do that, and you shouldn't just slack off. And that's all. Thank you.
Hi, Lucille. How are you?
Fine po. Kinakabahan,
Fine?
pero
Okay.
kaya, yes.
Now, in relation to what you mentioned earlier about you taking a big step from being the coach of your sports team back in school into a VP. Now, why VP among all the other positions? Bakit
Yes.
Vice President for the Student Council?
At first, I actually did consider PRO, but then I thought to myself, I could act more and help more by being the student council vice president, kasi mas malaki po yung sakop niya. And I really do want to help as much people as I want, kasi nakikita ko yung struggles ng mga students natin, and I want to make projects to help them as much as possible. So po.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
All right. I have one question for you.
Okay
So,
po.
in developing our platforms, we need to do an assessment of what our community needs and how much further we can innovate such. So now that we're in a new normal and you're unable to be face to face with your classmates or your org mates, and yeah, we're on online classes right now. How were you able to get a grasp of understanding what your community needed, and how were you able to connect that with the development of your platforms?
First of all, kinapalan ko po mukha ko at nag-reach out po ako sa mga 119 at 120 para para matanong ko sila kung ano ba talaga kailangan nila, at yung kaya ko yung kaya ko na issue na I can I can make a solution, because I know that most of the issues are pertaining to actual lessons, but then I asked even previous candidates, but they're not running right now, don't worry. I asked them, what have you done and what have you seen that can help me to formulate their projects, and that's how I came up with the platforms.
Hello again. I'd like to ask about one of your platforms, yung transparency between the student body and the council of right? So you're
Yes,
proposing this to be on a site, yung card,
Yeah.
right? So if you're aware, we have Project Recap ngayon. So you can
Yes,
check that out on Facebook. Nakapin rin siya. So is there any reason why you think that card would be a more suitable platform for that kind of purpose? Or if not naman, what makes it different from Project Recap now?
Oh, yes. For card, I thought that it would be more organized because everything would just be there. Hindi siya like continuous posts, so that students can check the card and see that, oh, this particular project is up and coming, or this is done already. So and for the what makes it different, I think that it is really a good idea to do email blasts or a messenger bot kasi yun nga po, mas hands-on yung mga students na yun with their phones, and I don't think they will ever be on offline with messenger kasi that's very we constantly get notifications with those apps.
Hi again, Lucille.
Hello po.
Now, since you mentioned that you basically wanted to reach out and help more people, especially that you
Yes.
said that the VP position is something that has a wider reach. Now, without thinking about these people and focusing on yourself, what would make you want to withdraw your candidacy for VP? And how would you deal with it if that time comes?
Sorry po, I didn't get that. Is it what would make me want to withdraw my position po?
Yeah, yeah. And if ever that time comes, how would you deal with that?
Well, if I'm ever faced, if the situation was faced to me that I have to step down or withdraw, then it will probably just be because that the projects or the things people want me to do is against my morals. That is the main thing, because I have to lead. I have to follow my own advocacy, and if the things the student body wants me to do is against what I want and my objective, then I will withdraw.
Thank you, Lucille.
Thank you very much.
Are there any more questions, panelists? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask as a vice president, specifically, try as much as possible na specifically for the position, right? What um what values or what skills do you think should you value the most being in that position?
As a student council vice president, I know that one of my big roles is to be the head of the student committee, and with that I need to be first organized, and also I need to know how to lead each one of them because there are a lot, and with that I need to know what this committee wants or needs, and that is one big point, and the value of and the value of being able to not overpower them but to oversee and to know what I think what is right, but also at the same time knowing what they want, so that we could make a compromise and make all ends meet so that everyone is satisfied and we can have a nice outcome out of everything. And I think that would be it. And also, yes, that's all.
Are there any more questions, panelists?
No more for me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, panelists, for your questions, and we would also like to thank Ms. Bernal for her earnest answers. Now let's call on our fifth candidate, Mrs. Cheyenne Lim. Ms. Cheyenne Lim.
Can you see me?
Yes, you may continue.
A pleasant day to everyone. My name is Shine Daniel Lim from STEM 11M, and I'm currently embracing the challenges for running for Student Council Vice President. Ever since I was a kid, I was already trained to be responsible and to have self-discipline. Because of those experiences, I had an interest and passion in becoming a student leader. I joined various elections from different communities and certain events. Another advantage for me is that I was a former student athlete for 7 years. That is why time management is something that I have already mastered. Now, being the second in command brings in a lot of responsibility, and this is also an opportunity for me to learn from the president and other talented individuals in and out the student council. My commitment to serve and my enthusiasm will help steer various programs this organization shall drive. I will advocate for the youth and vow to help the timid individuals learn and express themselves that will positively develop their character as future leaders of this country. My platform aims to bring out their best selves and to overcome their shyness and contribute to society. And I have at least 5 major plans to address this. First is promoting good citizenship. Everything starts out small, and I want DLSU to be the breeding ground for our future visionaries and entrepreneurs. We can invite credible politicians, businessmen, and remarkable people, preferably with roots from DLSU, to help our Lasallians. Second is to consolidate the scholarships. DLSU is known to have various scholarship grants, and I aim to consolidate these in order to help those who are struggling financially, which may serve as a roadblock in letting talented individuals continue their journey in DLSU. We can also provide the needed support for them to get the best education here and abroad. My third would be promoting leadership. We want to develop students to become great leaders. We are developing the next Elon Musk of the Philippines from DLSU. We could come up with mini programs and small groups to exercise their leadership potentials. If you're good at math, guess what? You lead this group. And if you are able to lead something, you should practice it right now, right? So fourth would be promoting human relations. The main goal is to have a harmonious relationship with not just our batch, but with the higher batches as well and the faculties. We could build strong bonds and create networks that will help them be secured in the future and in the real world. And last but not least is to promote cultural values. This is to uplift the Lasallian spirit and to help appreciate culture and diversity. This aims to balance their academics and their artistry and creativity skills. So don't be shy and vote for Cheyenne in the upcoming elections. Thank you.
Panelists, you may now ask your question to the following candidate.
Hello, good
Okay.
afternoon.
Sorry.
Good
Sige, Franz.
Okay, so let's start off with this question. As a leader, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
I'd like to believe my strengths are being well prepared and structured in everything that I do and in every task that I am about to accomplish. And these kind of skills will help others. So if elected, I want them to be motivated and to always feel that I am approachable, that I am there to help them. My weaknesses are being an overthinker. Being an overthinker has its benefits and its disadvantages. Its benefits are you are able to prepare for various situations, prepare your responses, and have less damage on the critics that people might say. And its disadvantages is that over preparing will make you nervous and would therefore lead you to not accomplish your task that was given. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to ask about one of your platforms in promoting leadership on the study groups, right?
Yes, Bob.
How can you assist that? How can you ensure? Sorry, how can you ensure that there will be available personnel? I'm assuming this will be from the students, right? That will be available to hold these study group sessions. And aside from that, how do you think you could compensate for offering that time to those in the study group?
Beforehand, I have already prepared for my platforms and I have asked for other students within DLSU if they're willing to volunteer for these platforms. And luckily, they're all very accommodative and implementing this will not be a problem. Thank you.
Hi, Cheyenne. How are you?
I'm fine po.
You're fine. Let me ask you lang something that's related to you being a student here in DLSU. First of all, is DLSU like a school that you've been really wanting to study for senior high school?
Yes po, it has been my longtime dream because I know what DLSU has to offer and I know that if I study here, I get the best service that I would ever have.
So in relation to that, given that DLSU is perhaps like a dream school for you, why not just maximize your time enjoying all the benefits, all the services that DLSU has to offer? Why bother joining the student council?
I joined the student council because I have the passion to serve people, and it is also important to balance our academics and our extracurriculars so that we can have a proper experience in this community.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Thank you.
All right, I have a question. So, as you've highlighted in two of your platforms, your student citizenship and binding human relations, so it's really a matter of yung pakikitungo natin sa isa't isa as students. So you want to strengthen that as the vice president. However, being in the student council, it also entails communicating with entities outside of the student body. So this would include the administration and mga bodies related to that. So you, as the vice president, as you try to raise awareness on how we could be law-abiding citizens, how can you, using your position, forward your calls that cater to the welfare of the student body to entities like the administration? Like, what are specific steps you can take?
As an aspiring vice president, I have also actually considered those facts and have, should I consider those facts? And thought about communicating with other institutions. For example, in student citizenship, I can contact the student body of a certain institution and collaborate with them to exchange students for the wellness of our programs. And what's the other question again?
All right, so what are specific steps that you can take for the sake of forwarding the cause of the welfare of your constituency to the administration, for example?
Given the situation we are right now, I can use this digital platform to be able to express my message to other people and other institutions that are also willing to help in implementing these programs. And I also have friends who have a large following base, and they are willing to help me in achieving these programs that I am proposing. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Panelists, do you have any more questions?
I'd like to ask about your platforms again. Yung promotion of student citizenship, I understand na webinars to. Could you help me visualize palalo, no? Could you give me an example of what this webinar would be about and who you would propose to be a speaker in this event?
One speaker, this webinar would be held by Zoom meetings, and I will invite credible speakers and politicians such. One name for that is Chis Escudero, and I have researched about him, and he's a very knowledgeable candidate, and he knows what he's talking about. So reaching out to them is not a problem, and I am going to be able to accomplish these in order to implement my programs.
Again, Cheyenne. Now, given that you're running for a student council position, and of course, with your implementations, there's a possibility that you won't be able to please everyone, and that's a fact, even outside the school. So, in the event that you receive a lot of criticisms for this particular project that you've been passionate about, how would you manage that situation?
In the face of adversity, I will stand by my position, my responsibility as a vice president. I will not give up on my role simply because not everyone is pleased by my actions. But at the same time, I am also open to new suggestions, new ideas, and they can approach me anytime, and I'd be willing to hear these suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Last call for questions. None. Okay. Thank you, panelists, for the thought-provoking questions, and thank you to Ms. Lim for your response.
Thank you.
Last but not the least, we have our sixth applicant, Mr. Ken Kabashima. May you call him on to the platform.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Should I start already?
We proceed.
Okay. Mapagpalayang araw sa inyong lahat. I am Ken Rainier Kabashima from STEM 11N, vying for the Vice President position for this Term 1 elections. Time has molded me with experiences as a student leader in my past years as a junior high school student. And my passion for leading has grown more and more since then. In being a student leader, being a student comes first. And I think that this is important in fulfilling the commitments and duties the position of being a leader holds, because how can we lead these people kung hindi natin alam yung struggles and yung roads na tinatahak nila, right? Being a leader is being a follower. In this instance, kailangan muna natin maging estudyante bago tayo mamuno ng ating mga kapwa-estudyante. And that leads me to craft these student-centric platforms, Ugnay, Balay, and Panday. First, we have Ugnay, a project that aims to connect students with each other through the student socialization program. This is important because this is a way for us to open discussion inside the student body para mas maayos na may i-address yung mga issues. Kung putol kasi yung connection ng mga students with each other sa council, paano natin malalaman yung conditions and yung totoong kalagayan ng mga students? In short, paano natin masosolusyonan kung hindi natin alam yung problema? I plan to solve this with the projects under the student socialization program, the body pairing system, which will give us the chance, that will give a chance for the students to be paired up with each other for the whole academic year. This could help students build friendships and support systems regardless of the strand and such. Next is the online kamustahan, which is the regular weekly homeroom meeting session with the block's class advisor. Kailangan kasi gumagawa ng dialogues yung mga advisors with their students to raise concerns and create a more light and healthy relationship in contrast sa toxicity ng ACADS. Thirdly, we have the implementation of breakout sessions in classes. Our online classes don't feel like an actual classroom at all. And personally for me, yun yung iniisip ko na main problem kung bakit hindi siya nag-work ng efficient. So this project aims to create a more interactive and holistic approach to this virtual way of learning. Next, we have movie night. This is a plan for the SC to host a movie night twice per term. Tickets for the movie night will be sold and the proceeds will be donated to a chosen charity. That wraps up the Ugnay platform. Now we will move on to Balay. Balay means home, and this platform aims to be the home for the students to rest, even just for a little bit. Alam ko na lahat ng nangyayari outside the comfort of our homes or even sa personal implications natin, it is very tiring and nakakapagod siya mentally and physically or emotionally. In Balay, we get to breathe before we fight another day by establishing our own support system together with the whole community through the Student Mental Health Care Program. This program encompasses developing a support circle in collaboration with the Office of the Guidance Counselor. This program also provides the Himline or Himlay line, online pahinga where students can contact a certain line in case they feel alone or they feel the need for someone to talk to. And as for Panday naman, we will move on now to Panday. Panday aims to sharpen, enhance, and construct a more solid and stable system and personal development. The Student Adjustment and Development Program helps students in adjusting their way to this new setup. Through the different projects under this program, we students can have more chances to focus on ourselves and how we handle this current situation that we are in. Establishing the technical committee under the STUCOM would help the supposed physical events to proceed online. The appeal for attendance consideration is also part of this program. Admin and professors alike should be more considerate regarding the attendance of the students since the setup made everything tentative for us. Transparency demand from this admin also lies under this program. We have the right to know where do our resources go. And lastly, we have Usap Mulat. This is the opening of an online forum for everyone to conduct healthy discussions and more valuable insights regarding social realities na we all know na nangyayari sa labas ng mga tahanan natin. Pag-ugnayin ng isa't isa, maging balay ng isa't isa at pandayin ang isa't isa. Ugnay, balay, panday. That is all for my platforms. Thank you very much for listening.
The questions of our dear panelists may now be raised.
All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
So for your first platform, yung body pairing system mo, you plan on pairing up students with one another, no? So
yes.
Have you already thought of a concrete way where we can ensure participation na magiging enough siya para ma-actually pair up natin yung students? And aside from this, how do you plan on gauging the efficiency of the said program? And if so, would we regulate anything that will be regarding their connections, or we would just connect them with each other tapos sila na yung bahala mag-usap?
My initial plan was to provide a Google form for students to fill up para doon parang yung registration. So pero yung SC mismo yung mag-generate kung sino yung magpe-pair up. So, hindi talaga siya totally na sapilitan or required. It is voluntarily. Kung gusto mong mag-join, you can fill up the forms.
Have you thought of a way to actually gauge the efficiency? So, let's say na na-pair up na natin itong mga students na to. Is there a way for us to know if it was effective for them with the intentions of your platform?
Evaluation kada month siguro yun yung magandang gawin. We will release a survey form tapos students can answer it kung naging efficient ba yung platform mismo.
All right, thank you.
Hayang ang lakong sigaw ni Gloria kapag nakikita ng 20.
to ask again about your platforms. So, several of these, they involve coordination talaga with the administration or the faculty, such as yung online kamustahan. They need to allot some time for that, breakout sessions during classes. You need to coordinate with each staff member, lahat ng professors, no? Another one is yung appeal for consideration for attendance. Do you have any specific steps that you've thought of to make sure na you have enough data, or ano mga steps mo in ensuring that this will successfully be proposed? Now you have enough, you can persuade them to have your platforms executed.
Of course, first, ilalapit siya sa admin and sa strand coordinators per strand. So, siguro doon, tsaka, susulat ng letter for like approval, and siguro yung strand coordinators na yung magdi-disseminate sa mga professors ng kada subject.
Hi, Ken.
Hello po.
How are you?
I'm fine naman po. Good afternoon po.
Afternoon, Ken. Ken, let me just ask you to cite an instance where your integrity was really tested to the point that you were tempted to go against your integrity. So, what happened and how did you handle that situation?
Integrity. Wait lang po
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, so from my past experiences po kasi as a student leader, sometimes, of course, nagpa-pile up yung workload and sometimes yung social life. So, yung integrity ko when it comes to leadership and my commitment to organizations and to the student government, it gets really tiring and nakaka-test talaga siya kung ano yung mga uunahin mo. Kung unahin mo bang mag-go out with your friends or uunahin mo yung task mo as this certain officer. Pero, ayun, na-accomplish and nasosolusyonan ko siya through thinking about ano ba talaga yung sinumpaan ko na posisyon or yung tungkulin. So, ayun po, it's all about commitment and your heart, your desire to and passion to lead and to do your job as kung ano yung nag-swear ka.
All right. So, seeing that you have a lot of programs and projects in mind that is reflected through your platforms, what would you do in the case that it would not be approved by the administration? Okay, yeah.
As for me, as the mediator of the student body and the admin, I will try to compromise until I meet the middle ground if hindi talaga kaya. But if the platforms were really beneficial for the students and logistically possible, I will stand by it and do really insist and find a way for it to be considered by the admin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Ken, question. Now, what did you feel in the event that you get elected in the position as a vice president and then you start to encounter a lot of conflicts and a lot of bad vibes with your fellow student council members? How would you feel about that and what would you do?
As for me naman po, I know the line between professionalism and yung personal life. So if I have like personal vendetta against one officer in student council, pwede ko siyang isawalang bahala kasi I know kung ano yung dapat kong trabaho doon sa council, alam ko yung dapat kong gawin. So I won't let my personal implications hinder the relationship towards my workmates. So yon, professionalism lang po talaga.
Hello.
Thank
I'd
you,
like
Ken.
sorry. I'd like to ask, as a leader, what would you identify as your strengths and then your weaknesses and how you overcome those?
As a leader, ang strength ko po siguro is yung social skills. I am very flexible when it comes to working with people. Like, yun nga po, yung mga past experiences ko din, nakakatrabaho ako ng iba't ibang klase ng mga tao. So, wala sa akin kung hindi tayo okay. As personal, it's just work, you know? Yun nga po. So, yun yung one of my strengths talaga. And when it comes to my weakness naman, sometimes I can become a bit perfectionist when it comes to tasks. So, minsan, sinosolo ko siya. Pero I know naman na dito sa council, dito sa DLSU SHS, everyone's competent and everyone knows what they're doing. So I guess that won't be a problem for me anymore.
I'd also like to ask rin sa platform more about the technical committee. So sa student committee, currently we have events com, and although hindi physical events ang ginagawa nila ngayon, there's still the main manpower in handling our student council events. So what do you think is different from this proposal ng technical committee naman?
Kasi po yung sa events committee, parang sobrang general and broad nung trabaho nila. And they are sanay na sa physical event. So switching to this new setup na online lahat ng events, of course, may hirapan and bibigat talaga yung workload kasi everything's in our laptop or in computer. So building this new technical committee, mapapagaan yung workload from their backs and mas makakakuha tayo ng mga tao na siguro mas kaya yung mga when it comes to technicalities, ganun po.
Okay, so with that, what do you think would be the duties of the events com pag na-establish nga ang technical committee?
They will work together with the technical committee. Yung sa technical committee naman po, sila lang yung sa mag-aayos ng mga Zoom meetings, ng mga backstage things. Tapos, well, sa events com, sila po siguro yung parang mag-organize nung paano ba siya i-word? Mag-organize mismo ng event in a way na mag-i-invite ng mga guests, ganon. Tapos yung technical committee, yung technicalities lang talaga.
Thank you for your questions, panelists, and thank you, Mr. Kabashima. Once again, we would like to present to you the 6 applicants who are vying for the position of Vice President. We have Alfonso Rafael T. Arteta.
We have Marianne Lucille and Bermal.
Zaishalay J. Kabase.
Ken Rainier O. Kabashima.
Cheyenne Daniel C. Lim.
And Ilyakim Dan Jabez A. Pamorada.
Weren't they impressive, Dayan?
They sure were, Angel. I'm sure that the panelists will have a difficult time deciding on the final candidates. Now, we would now like to call Denise Mapanaw, the chairwoman, to make a few announcements.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the recently concluded filing of Certificate of Candidacy and this Clean Slate Protocol is just the beginning of Term 1 elections. This is just the start of the candidates' journey, and we, the DLSU SHS Commission on Student Elections, is inviting everyone to stay tuned on our social media accounts, DLSU SHS COMSELEC on Facebook and YouTube, and that DLSU SHS COMSELEC on both Instagram and Twitter to stay updated and notified of the future happenings concerning the elections. Feel free as well to reach out on our email address and official number for concerns, questions, or inquiries. You may find all those on our recent post about our card that was released a few days ago. That is all, and join us in this journey towards tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Let us now welcome Lawrence Badugas, the co-head of General Affairs, to say the closing remarks. He will then be followed by Julian Bonifacio from the General Affairs Department to lead us in the prayer as we end today's event.
Before we end the program for today, I would like to congratulate the candidates for participating and doing their best in this event. We wish you the best of luck and may the odds be ever in your favor. To our dear panelists, thank you for your participation in this event in helping us choose the best leaders of the future. To our audience and online viewers, thank you for allotting your time to join us in our program for today. As we proceed in the election season, we would like to challenge each and every one of you to be critical in choosing the candidates that we will be voting for. Vote for those who you deem to be deserving and worthy of the role to serve the student body. Remember that you dictate what lies ahead. Thank you very much.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, thank you for your presence with us this day and for making this program a successful one. May the matters discussed here today serve its purpose in the upcoming election. As we reach the end of this program, we ask you to guide and protect us throughout the remainder of the day. Shower us with your everlasting grace and abundance. Grant peace within our hearts and always enlighten us to become instruments of righteousness. All this we humbly ask. In Jesus' name, amen. Our Lasallian prayer, I will continue, O my God, to do all my actions for the love of you. Saint John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Live Jesus in our hearts forever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
Sadly, this year's Clean Slate Protocol has come to an end. We would once again like to extend our deepest gratitude to our panelists, Mr. Russell Santos, Mr. Franz Beltran, and Ms. R. Andrea Briones, and to our candidates for their presence and participation.
We would also like to heartily thank you, the audience, for partaking in this event. To our beloved student body, we hope that the Clean Slate Protocol has served its purpose in aiding the transparency of character of the applicants. We wish that this event has helped you recognize and identify the different attributes of the future leaders.
Once again, I am Diane Prado.
And I am Angel Prieto, your Masters of Ceremonies for today's Clean Slate Protocol. Thank you very much, De La Salle University Senior High School.
We wish our future candidates the best of luck. God bless and have a great day. Always remember, you dictate what lies ahead.